Hello! Hopefully we are live. This is the second episode looking at SurrealDB embedded in Rust. And last time I was going over some of the basic things, trying to figure out how it worked. And today I want to improve upon one of the things I did last time, which was how to inject data into the into queries, and also how in looking at how it works across set boundaries, preparing for my project, which is knowledge management, which is Sybil. So my plan for that is to use SurrealDB in a Rust server, probably looking at Actix Web for the moment, which I haven't really used before. I think I've done sort of a very, hello world, but haven't done much serious things. So trying to look how to integrate SurrealDB into the Actix web server, and for that I also want to try and get it to serve a Svelte page. But that's down the line. First, this is what we were looking at last time. So the basic parts of it were doing some queries. So what I'm going to do is focus on the bit where we were adding something in. So here, where we were doing the adding in a number, I was using format. And however, in the docs for execute, there is this binary tree map option for vars, and in that, as my understanding, that if you you can add variables in there, and if you put a $sign and then the key in there, then it will automatically fill them in. So we're going to test that out first. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'll just okay, just so we can see what we've got here. So what I think I'm going to want is, let's just practice with this. So replacing this code here, and then if we just print them out. So this code here is selecting everything from the entry. This is another one that we could fix, but I'll just get rid of that for now, and then I will uncomment this. Don't need this. And also there's this part here. There's a better way to do that, so I'll go over that. But for now, so doing that, and then so at the moment we it's starting. I'll switch it to a memory database. So it starts that up, initiates the session. It's going to add 10 entries, and then it's going to right, I think these are the same. Yeah, just get rid of that. And so then here we have the select response. I should really name this as result. So we're going to take the this is a response just selecting all of them. We're going to get the first, this is a vector of responses. We take the first one because I think there only will be one for now. Then we take the output, which is a result. Then we unwrap that for now. And then we go, we take the array outside, which is in this value enum. Then we iterate over all of them. Then for now, I'm just printing them. Oh, let me just... And I'm planning to make a video explaining some of this stuff more concisely, and this probably might be a better way to do some of this stuff now. But hopefully, if we go cargo run after this has compiled, which still takes a while, but after see, here we get items with num. Interesting, the order, I suppose that might be because the ordering is done by the ID, which is random out the way it inserts it instead of time order, which is interesting. Could look into ordering at some point. But now, what we want to do is, instead of using the format macro, let's try using the binary tree map. So I'll just do let vars equal, and they want bt new and oh, that's why it's so now import standard collections binary tree map. Excellent. Type. That's because we haven't that's fine, because now though in the if we look at the docs again here, it says that the key has to be string and the value has to be the value enum. So if we want it, so what we need to do is I think we'd have to do the conversion to these types, which I suppose makes sense. So what we'd want is I64 in this case. Right, okay, and that's the primitive one. So let's do vars dot insert insert. So our key is going to be num. Our value is going to be let's just make sure we have SQL in there. So we want it's SQL, and then yeah, SQL value number, SQL number int and then that would just be I as I64 and semicolon. Cannot borrow Mars. Okay, and then get rid of that and that, and then now instead of these brackets, I'm just going to go $num, and in the vars, I'm going to sum vars. Expected type mismatch types, expected struct, binary string, standard string. Oh. Let's see if this works. This seems like a place where some macros would be helpful to do some of this automatically. Now there might be a faster way to do that, but all these let's see. And it works. So I think that is the way to do it. That seems pretty easy. Right. Yeah, I think the main problem with that is making sure everything is in the right type. For the database to manage. But that seems fine. Okay. But luckily there's in the value, as I think I might have shown last time, there's a lot of things that you can include. The one thing that I'm not sure about is how to do files, because and how to do very long things. For example, I know in MySQL you have text types which are not stored in the database. I'm not exactly sure, but you have text and blob and things like that, where it stores the actual file out of the database and then only keeps a few bytes as a pointer, basically the path, inside the database. So you're not storing thousands of words in your database. I'm not sure if Surreal yet does that or plans to, but you might have to store files somewhere else and then link to them, because this is one of the this is one of the things that I want to do for my next program for Sybil, is that I want to be able to include files, pictures, videos, audio, anything like that, and have them served. So I'm just going to make a note of that. because that would be an interesting feature. Anyway, but there's a lot of different things, not all of which I know, but you can do a lot of stuff. So I think that's probably good for now on that front. Now the other thing that I did, so before we had this code, we got the rows, and then I wanted to, I wrote this helper function here. Where did I write it? Here, get thing, which just said, you think this is a thing? Well, which is the internal type that represents the record. So that in it, it would be entry and then this or whatever. It's the unique identifier of the row or item, equivalent to a primary key in MySQL. And I wrote a method which either returns a thing if that is actually it, or it causes not an error. It returns an error. It returns a result. Now, most of the, as far as I can tell, most there are some as functions which have some kind of conversion. So, for example, if we look in here, the as strand, which is just a string. The strand. Oh, I want the source. If it is a strand, it returns that, or it does a string conversion. But if you want something, most of the other things just return a value, even if it's saying make this a strand or a number or whatever. But there is actually this rid method, which I'm pretty sure is it is record ID, that does return an option, which is basically just the function I wrote, except it searches recursively. So if it's an object, which is a key value structure, then it takes the ID field out of it, and then if that's a value, then it returns. If it's there and it returns a value, then it returns that, which is a thing. If the value itself, if it's an array, then it calls the rid function, again the record ID function, on the first item of that, and if it is just a value itself, it returns that, otherwise it returns nothing. So it's a slightly more sophisticated version of what I did. So I could I could add in here, if we wanted to get all the IDs out, instead of just printing everything, we could then not print. We could do ID accumulator dot push, and then instead of using the get thing and then get the ID, we could should be able to do .rid, and then let's see if this works. Oh no. Need to do it before. Yeah. So let's see if this works. ToString. And then we would need to unwrap. So I suppose it's probably an interesting API decision whether or not you have more methods like that allow you to say, I think this is what this is, so just give it to me. Anyway, so there you are. It gives you those. So now what would be interesting to do here, so you can comment this out. Let's do another select. I'll copy it and but I'll rename this. So response to result to, we don't need that, but here we're going to do this would have to be mute. We're going to try and select one of the IDs. So mute vars2 equals binary tree map. New. There we are. Equals. And then we want vars to dot, is it append or insert? We want insert, and then our key, I'll just make that ID, and then we need dot to string, and then the value is going to be ID accumulator 0. So just whatever the first one there is. I suppose we'd have to clone it. Or what about a reference? Is it okay with that? It is okay with a reference. Okay, so then we'll go over those, and then we'll just print that out. So what we should get is we'll just get one printed out, but with we've passed the ID in and selected it. Oh wait. Oh, I haven't actually put it in. So I want this would have to be sum. And I need to wrap this in SQL. Yes, value thing. But it does that can't take a reference. So I will have to clone it. That seems annoying that you have to clone it and can't just pass it by reference, because if it's just interested in the data, why would it? I'm not sure. Anyway, so let us now see if this works. And then we want from, instead of that, we would want to go ID, like that. I'll put RID, record ID. Ooh. Let's try again. There we are. So we get one record out, which is excellent. So just thinking, I think the next thing that we want to do is have a look at some threading stuff. Now, I think we can get rid of this because it's not necessary anymore because we have already. So what I want to do is if you are running a web server, well, my understanding is that with Actix Web, I'm not sure whether it's technically, I think it can run on a single thread, but you need to you basically put your state into a closure that could cross thread boundaries, and so I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Now, on the important thing related to that is send and sync, which are both implemented. So what, according to my understanding, John did a stream going into more depth. I'm basically just saying what I can remember from that. But from what I remember, send basically means this type is safe to send across thread boundaries. There's nothing, for example, when you call the destructor, or when you drop it, it's not going to cause any problems. It's not in the same thread, anything like that. And sync means that you can send a reference to it. So the definition for sync is that a reference to the type is send, I think. So where are we? Yes, T is sync if and only if a reference to T is send. So how do we do that? So what I think I will do is just change this a bit, that we only basically just write a function that we give the data store and the session, and which we should check if the session is also sync. Session. Hello, session. Oh, they open up over there. So that's around. Oh, there's an arc around it. So yes, it is send and sync. So that should be. That should be good. Fine. So, what do we want to do now? If we just write let's just write a function print db entries, and all this needs to take is the data store, which is a reference to data store, and we want the session, which is a reference to a session. Are those in scope? Yeah. So then I am just going to copy I'll copy this for now, but we don't need, I suppose it needs to be async. Expected back. So why is that doing that? Found keyword fn. I haven't done very much async Rust. Oh, I've misspelled it, that's why. That's better. And this I need to expected result. Okay, and then I need okay, like so. Okay. So it's never used. So we want entries. This doesn't need to be a reference because it already is. So select all from entries. Let me just rename these. So we want to select all from entries with the session, no variables, strict is false. And then we print everything. So let me just go print db entries. Yeah, and then we want dot await dot unwrap. And then does that work? Do we have any other prints? Not at the moment. So that should print all 10 of them, and then we can see if we can do a thread spawn and then trigger that, call that function from within that thread, and if that works, then it should be no problem. Right. Let's that's why. It's entry, not it's entry, not entries. Yeah. Compile. Excellent. So now, so if we do let db thread equal, and then we want thread spawn, and then let's try, I'll also change it to 2 so it makes it quite many. So I think it still needs to be move, and then we would want this line in here, expected comma. Oh, is that? How do you do an async closure? So let's try if we so does that mean, so I do, then would you have to, oh, so does that make it, so now so that's the problem. How do you, but if we go db join, no, it's still, doesn't make any. So how could you do something like I do equal no, you can't clone it. So I suppose just because you can send a reference doesn't necessarily mean you can use it in the original place, but yeah, I haven't looked into that. I don't know enough to know how the internals work. there anything else? So how would you do that? I'm not sure. I can probably ask on the Discord. Jamie and Toby are very nice and very good at replying. Doesn't help that as of yet, I don't have a huge amount of experience. I haven't done any major, any kind of projects using asynchronous Rust. I mean, I don't. Can you? If we comment this out, can you just make the closure out of the DB found so I'm not sure what to do there. I can send I'll send a message on the Discord and then see if so if you can't do that, I'll probably have to think of I suppose gets tricky. Because you might end up with some situation where you have one thread root and then you have message passing, and that thread controls the database, which I mean, I suppose would be doable. I'm not exactly sure how to do it, but more of a actor type model where you have one actor which is just the database and everything else talking to it. You need a you need to have, I'm not sure whether the actor framework is still around. I've had issues trying to use that in the past, so I've tried to do some WebSocket things with that, and I've found that a bit tricky, but but that would make life a lot trickier, and I suppose you somebody else was saying putting it in as I say, I haven't well, I can try that now. I suppose the question is of whether there's a concurrency model already in the data store, or whether you need to put it on top. Because if there already is a mutex or something similar inside, then there's you shouldn't have to put anything in on top, but I'm not sure. Because I'm not sure. So I know if so if I do this as, is it arc new, and then we'd want, is there a difference? I'm not sure whether to use the standard mutex or the well, if I just use, because it's saying that it will block the threads, but I only have one thread at the moment, so that doesn't really matter for now. New, and then this would be the data store put inside. So then presumably you'd have to do the same thing for the session. And then in here, I change these to be so if we don't need that. Though I suppose what we would, if we want, so then so we would want to if it's an arc, then you'd want to clone the arc, wouldn't you? That's mismatched types, expected struct. Oh, did I put the wrong one in? Oh, I put the same one in for both. It's not very helpful. And then I would want async move, and then all of this is in braces. Is it happier now? So then now I want to get the a reference to the So so we've got new returns the contained value. That's unwrap. I want how do you just so we want to get to the so it seems like you can just okay, well, what I'll try is, where are we? Put this in here, and then let we want to do thread data store dot log. Does that work? So that returns a result with the guard, right? So, and then if we unwrap, then it's still in the mutex guard. How do we get it out? The data can be so deref, so we can just dereference it. So can we do that? Excellent. So cannot move. How to so where are we? Move occurs because value has type data, so which does not implement Does that improve things? Value used here. But can we here do dot clone? Will that make it happy? how can I so how do you oh, well, it seems like you just have to so I suppose if I do this, then in here we can do let nomenclature is not great for this, but if we put that in there, and then put that in there. I'll just unwrap this. Right. Well, it says that it's needs to be awaited, but it seems to be I suppose the print deep this needs to be future cannot be sent between. Oh no, because no, that's so that doesn't do any. Right, I see. So join returns. So we want to unwrap that. So what type is that? Right. So this we would want to await. What was there? So that's still so does this do anything? Oh, somebody I didn't see before, but somebody said that it would be interesting to put alongside Tower. Yes, it definitely would be. That is one of the that is definitely one of the things that I want to do. I'm very interested in yes, anyway, Towery is good. Somebody's saying if you're holding the sync mutex across await points, you can cause a deadlock. Yes, I guess that's why. So, it would be worth looking at the Tokyo mute. So presumably you I'm not sure what it means. This is supported on feature sync only. I have got. Well, we'll see if it works. Might have to add it because I've got full, which I would have thought that included everything, but maybe not. So if instead of is there a Tokyo sync arc as well, or do they? No, I don't think so. So let's try switching this to use Tokyo sync mutex, and then here what we want to do on the mutex would be let's see. In order to lock, I think you wouldn't need to unwrap, but rather you'd want to await. That seems like a pretty easy conversion. Let's try again. And then let's check that it still works. Yeah. Oh wait. No, that didn't actually. Did I miss that? Did it never actually? Am I missing something here? So would I need to await it here? Let's see if that works. Ah, yes, excellent. Okay, thank you. Okay, so now let's try, if we uncomment both of them, we should now get 4 entries. Let's see. Ah, indeed we do. Okay. So yes, I suppose this would be interesting to see if you could, because obviously the problem with the mutex is that though obviously it will be perfectly fine for stuff that I'm doing, but it's not very efficient if there's a lot of, if you have a lot of reads, and so you might be able to put a left-right cache in front of it, which might be an interesting exercise to sort of combine Noria and Surreal, but I'm not sure how practicable that would be. But I do think that would be an interesting thing, especially for read heavier applications. Though I think this will just be fine. This will be just fine for my projects. Right, so I think that's probably it for this. I think the next thing to do would probably be to actually try and implement it in Actix Web, and sort of start building out the API for Sybil. So I might do that today or possibly tomorrow. Yeah, and I might do another stream or just my own experimentation and talking with people on the Discord about better ways to do this, and I'll compile that together into a video which I'll make soon. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for Sybil and using SurrealDB with Actix Web and then hopefully Svelte. And I'll see you then. Bye.